Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm back. Sorry about last week, but I'm having problem with my computer. I need to buy a new one, but I have to wait a little bit until I can get one. So today I was gonna finish this, which is what I was painting the last day. Um, but I have questions from people that I would like to answer. So, for example, I have some questions from Mona Knight, um, and she asks, for example, she says, I've just started oil painting and I'm always searching for a non toxic way in that media. I'm very chemically sensitive. This led me to you. Cuni seems like it may be the answer to my prayers. One of my goals is to make smooth portraits with smooth fumaro that have backgrounds that are abstract and have some impasto. I can see how easy the impasto is, but I'm wondering if Cuni dries too fast for sfumato. I did see you working on the portrait of the young boy, which is this one, but I couldn't see up close. Yeah, that's the problem with this camera, because when streaming live, um, because the internet connections doesn't allow to have like a much more defined image. So what I'm gonna start doing is recording with at the same time with a high definition camera. Um, I mean one video, high definition video camera. And what I'll do is what I record with that camera, I will post in YouTube so you can see it high definition and so you can see all the details because here, yeah, you can see the image, but you can't really see all the detail. Okay, let me go in with the letter. So she's asking for a sfumato. Um, will it work if you use enough medium and maybe retarder? Also, I don't see you spraying the paint with water, just mixing it now and then. Okay, yeah. If you like, you can just use the retarder, and actually the paint becomes like basically like an oil. Um, of course, then it takes longer to dry, but yes, you can use the retarder, which let me see if I have one here. Because the medium, what it really does is to make the paint more transparent, and while it maintains the thickness, and but it doesn't help in terms of keep it wet longer. So yeah, I recommend the retarder, which actually works pretty well. Let me see. After this, I'll make a few demonstrations. Um, she says that she was reading another artist's experiences that are using Encaustic Cuni. Um, and she says that to keep it wet, she wraps it with plastic wrap while painting to keep it wet enough. And it says that even the stay wet palette for acrylics didn't work for her. Now that's interesting because I use it all the time. Let me see if I can show it to you. Okay, so what she's talking about is this box, that put the paper, wet paper over here, make this wet. Actually, keeps for me keeps the colors perfectly. So I'm wondering, yeah, I can do also a demonstration with this and see and say to you how it works. But this gives me excellent results. Okay. Let's see what else. So I'm just going over, the main questions, and then I will give specific explanations about the issues and so things, how they work. Okay. And then she says, I do have a special request for a demo. I fell in love with Turner's late oil paintings of Venice. Um, and I would love to see reproduce um, their delicate gold, white, gray, blue, amber color and mixture. I read that they probably use wax in the impasto. Yes, there were several painters that use beeswax mixed with oil for the impastos, like Rembrandt used to mix wax with the oil. So yeah, we can do that. Let's see. In the video, it describes the characteristics of Cuni. She says there is a beautiful thick stroke of blue and gold that I love. Can you tell me what colors were used there? Yeah, the colors that I used were um, the the azo yellow, which I mixed it with titanium white, and also the cobalt. I mean, not the cobalt. Uh, and then I used for the other one was the ultramarine. Sorry, the ultramarine and the titanium white. So those are the two colors that I was using for those strokes. Also, she asks, you say that any media can be used with encaustic Cuni. So I'm assuming that I could paint with oil over it. Is there anything I need to know about how to do that? Actually, yeah, you can definitely paint with oil over encaustic. There is absolutely no problem. Um, and you can you can paint encaustic over oil. Um, let's see. And in terms of mixing, you can mix oil with encaustic. So that depends of what you are looking for. You can, like, let's say, if you mix much oil than encaustic, then you won't be able to liquefy the paint with water. You will have to use turpentine. But if you use more encaustic and less oil in the mixing, you will be able to um, dilute it, liquefy it with water. She is also between Cuni and the new Ceracolors in color. Yeah, there is a very big difference. Those Ceracolors You cannot paint thick at all. The color cracks very easily because they don't have consistency. And then the the quality of the paint is very poor because the plastifier they use. Um, so there is a huge difference. Actually, I would say they don't have anything in common. There is such a big difference that I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of how different it is. When it comes to my head, I'll tell you. Send me your sample, my data strong, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that was from Mona Night. And let me see one thing. I'm going to try to make sure because supposedly today I should be receiving, or I could hear people talking, but I don't know if there is nobody or as always something is going on. Let me see. Let me see. So, mm, okay. You are in this video. I'm gonna ask, see what happens. So, Lin, if you are there, I'm texting you to see if we can talk. Okay. Take the volume up and see what is going on. See. I don't know. There is always trick, something to do with this, which I cannot quite get. The- So let's see. Encaustic. I don't know. I don't really. Let's see. Oh, I had my volume was off, so maybe now if someone is there, let me see. If someone is there, yeah, maybe I can hear it now. So hopefully you can ask me questions. Where? See. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Let's see. So let's go over a few things. Um, mm, mm, mm. Um, so where Mona is talking about the sfumato and using the retarder, um, as he says, it's difficult to see here because the the quality of the image, because the streaming is, it doesn't allow you to make a more defined. So what I'm gonna do for, let me see, next webinar, I'm going to um, I'm gonna record it, with a high definition camera while I do the webinar, and then I'll post it in YouTube. Okay, because if I do it now, it's gonna be the same thing. It's not gonna change anything because we can't see more detail. Okay. Um, let me see. I'm reading her her questions. Okay. I'm gonna show you also what we can do. Let me see. Up here, palette and my water. Let me move this. Too many things in this table. Okay. So let me show you something. Okay. Um, okay. So one of the things you can do, which makes the paint more liquid, have this pre-mix color, okay, which is just white, also yellow and red. I don't remember what red I use. Let's see, which I use the naphthol red, okay. One thing you can do is, if you add more water, just adding more water, making the paint more liquid. That is going to allow you to, without using the retarder, to do much easier esfumatos. Okay. And okay, so you have to check what is the amount of water that you would use. And you can do also the same thing with the retarder that we have. The only well, there are two differences. One that, of course, is going to take much longer to dry, and the other one is that it's actually easier for doing esfumados than just using water. Okay. And just for me, because I've been using Encaustic all my life, it's easy both ways. There is one that is easier than the other for me. Okay, so for example, and again, I'm gonna see if I putting my camera closer, gonna give you more detail. Let's see. Now it looks a little deformed. It's okay. So you see this fumato is easier. Then you can use do the same thing with the medium, which makes the what is gonna say? We makes the paint more transparent, so it's also easier to make the that's it's also easier to make the sfumatos. Okay. So also if the paint, let's see if you can see it. Yeah. The water starts evaporating, you just add a little more. I just always add like a tiny bit with my palette knife, because if you, it's very easy to add too much water, like because the paint absorbs very fast, and then if it gets too liquid, then it's kind of difficult to work with. But again, everybody have different ways of painting. So something that it may be not very good for me, it may be very good for you. Um, just because the way we learn how to paint, of of the way, because everybody uses paint in different ways. Now you see some very nice sfumato, transparent. And also, while I do this, I'm gonna talk about. I have another email from Laurel Riedifer. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. And he wrote me an email that says, I recently watched a tutorial using the water soluble encaustic Cuni paints. I noticed that you use paint from large jars, meaning, this size, rather than the paint in tubes. It appeared that the paint in the jars had a thicker consistency than the tube in the paint, the paint in the tube. I own many tubes of the Cuni water soluble encaustic, and I have two questions. One, how can I achieve an impasto effect with the sorry, I got lost. Impasto effect with the tube colors. Actually, the thickness is exactly the same. Where it may happen is because the tube is always closed, and it keeps the paint easier from drying. Let's see, you can see this. So, for example, here, because this is a wide mouth, this, for example, this dries faster. So what it does is, the paint looks a little thicker, but it's actually the same thickness, exactly the same. So yeah, we don't make any difference when we make paint. We don't make any difference when we make the paint for the tubes, the paint for these size containers. Okay, so they are both the same. What you can do if you wanna make even thicker empastos is just take the paint out of the tube. Let me see if I have a tube around here. Good. I'll show you what I do. I'm gonna put it here. This is one of my test tubes. So I put the. No. So I have. Okay, I put that paint. Now. So this paint may be just a little more liquid than this one, but just a little, and that's because, in the tube, it has a very small mouth compared to this one, which is very big. Okay, So here almost doesn't get air to get dry, and here it gets much more air while it's open, so it dries a little faster, obviously, and that make uh, the paint just a little, I wouldn't say the word is thicker, but since it's drier, you can achieve the impastos faster. So what I'm doing here is use this palette knife. Okay, so you see the paint. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave it here, the way it is, and without touching it. Okay, while I keep painting with the other. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it dry a little bit while we paint the other things, and then I'll remix it because what is going to be happening is the water in the paint is going to evaporate. Okay, so the paint becomes less liquid, and so it may be easier for you to make the impastos. Okay, so meanwhile, I'm gonna keep working on this. Let me see, as more questions. And another thing of how to do that is, if you've seen the portraits for the Fayum portraits, for example, our paint has a lot of pigment, big amount of pigment, which makes it very, gives a very strong color. The Fayum portraits were painted with a much more transparent color, meaning that they had less pigment, so it was mostly beeswax. Um, so if you use the what is it called, the medium mix with it, I'll do also another example with that. You achieve exactly the same quality that the Fayum portraits have. Okay, and in fact, one of the things that I want to do in this webinar is to what is it called? To make a copy of a Fayum portrait, to see, so you can see how they were done. Okay, and also it's a good example on how to use how to paint with palette knife, because most of them were painted with palette knife. Okay, so we can see that too. Okay, so you can see here how easy is to do the esfumatos. Okay, but then another day I'll make another of the same with the esfumatos, but using the retarder. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Fine. Be more. So let me see, because I have so many questions and then I keep forgetting. And another, yeah, I'll do another with the wet palette. I'll show you how I work with it, because actually I found it very useful, and mostly when you are doing some things with very thick paint. Okay. Okay, now let's see. Okay, so I'll show you this again. So it hasn't evaporated much water yet. Okay, but what you have to do is keep mixing, the paint with the palette knife while the water evaporates, because otherwise, the top is gonna get harder and the inside is gonna be the same. So you keep, while the water evaporates, keeps going and mixing it with the palette knife. It keeps the same humidity in the whole amount of paint. Okay. So now I'm gonna do what else? Yeah, sorry. So I'm gonna keep working on the portrait, and let's see. I see someone sending. No, nobody's trying to talk to me. Looks like. A ver, but I'm gonna try something. But ask your audience to submit questions and they will hear below. Okay. It says that you can type. Also, if you can, for some reason, not communicate by voice with me, you can type questions directly on the page, and they will show in my screen. Okay. 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 So. Okay, I'm not sure. So yeah, if you have like questions, yes. So I'm looking at the image. Yeah, it's such a bad definition with the camera. I mean, with the webcam. Even though it's a high definition webcam, but that is not the problem. The problem is the internet speed. And I was reading that to be able to stream like perfect high definition needs an incredibly fast what is it called yeah, web connection, and mostly even higher than the ones that are in the market. So that's why from now on I'm gonna record all the web. Okay, so I'm gonna keep working on this. So I'm gonna also, while I do this, I'm gonna keep reading the other questions that I have from Laurel. So one question is, how can I keep an impaste effect with the tube colors, which I just explained. And then ask, can I mix it with an acrylic gel medium to achieve a thicker consistency when I want? Yes, actually you can. Let me see if I have here one. I can show you. So this is an extra heavy gel from acrylic. And you can actually if I can open it because I haven't used it in a long time. So yeah, see, it's very thick. So actually, you can mix it with. I just take, you know, take just a little bit out. You can mix it with encaustic, and it's gonna make the encaustic even thicker. Um, and it mixes perfectly, and the emulsion won't break off. Okay, so there is no problem doing this. Of course, it will make the paint more transparent depending on how much you use. Okay, but as you can see, mixes fine, and it's gonna remain fine. This doesn't make the paint, you know, uh, break, or it's like, for example, you cannot mix oil and acrylic because the emulsion breaks off both ways. In this case, the emulsion doesn't break, so it keeps the paint perfect. Okay. Okay. So let's keep reading. And it says, what else can I mix with that? And then it says, I wonder if a possible disadvantage in using a gel medium would be a dilution of the colors. I would like to be able to extend the paint so that I can have enough to use on a large board of paper. Well, yeah, as I was saying, of course, because uh, you know the gel is transparent, so the more you add, the more transparent will be the paint. But actually, since the paint is already very thick, and this is very thick, you don't need to add so much gel to it. Um, so uh, yeah, and then you can, mix big amounts of it and just paint. So there is, so it will be always a little more transparent, but still, since the encaustic Cuni colors have so much pigment, they're still covering a lot. Okay, because our colors have much more pigment than acrylics and oils, so they cover more in general. Okay, so then asks, let me see. Hang on. Is the paint in larger jars like this one shown in the video the same as the paint in the tubes? Um, yes, it's exactly the same material. Because we mix all the colors together, and then the color just go either to the jars or the tubes. So there is no change between one and the other. The only change, as I was saying, is this. In the big jars, the water evaporates faster, obviously, because the mouth is much bigger. But doing this, what I'm doing, is gonna keep the water evaporating and making the paint stay thicker. Okay. Okay. So what else? What else? Oh, here. So I'm gonna. So next day I want to. I'll try to make a copy of one of the Fayum portraits. Okay, so you can see how to paint with palette knife and how to mix the paint with more medium. And meanwhile, I'm gonna mix. Let's see. I'm gonna use a little bit of titanium white. So I'm gonna put here, and I'm gonna make a cool pink for the highlights. Actually, before that, I wanna make something black. Let's see. Where is the black paint? Okay, so I have my carbon black. Let me see if I can get into the so I can get. Okay, so I have the medium. So what I'm gonna do, I wanna do the darker points, in the portrait, but I don't want the black to be too dark because otherwise, if I make it straight from here, it's gonna make so dark that the color is gonna look flat. So what I'm gonna do is mix a little bit of the black with the medium. Okay, let's see. Medium here. Let's see. A little bit of the medium, which I'm mixing with the black. So now the color is way much more transparent. Okay. Let's see. And now I need a thinner brush. I hope I can find. Okay, I guess this one should be fine. So, yes. Okay. So that brings more to life the eyes. Okay. And so his hair is now a bigger brush. So I'm gonna use this one. Okay. I need a paper towel. Let me see. One. Okay, so I got my paper towel. Always using, like you use the finger when I'm painting. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, a little bit of brown. Okay. Okay. Very good. Okay. So now here in the paint, you see, yes, I mix it again. So a lot of water has already evaporated. So if I keep doing it, it will evaporate more. But one of the things is that you don't really need to do that because, for example, you want to paint this thick, you just put the paint on the canvas and it's going to stay exactly like this. Because the difference with acrylic, like if you do this, thick, you take a piece of paint like this and put it on. Once it dries, it loses consistency, so it reduces the size a lot. But with encaustic, it keeps the same size all the time. So with the amount of impasto that you put here is gonna remain exactly like that all the time. Okay. Okay. So keep working on. Now he was asking me also about Ceracolors. With Ceracolors, you cannot make impastos because the paint cracks once you paint thick. So yeah, that's a very very big difference. In fact, when you can tell, how good of our paint is um, just because the amount of impasto that is able to hold. So in fact, there are only, other than encaustic, there are only two paints that can hold impastos, which are oil and acrylic. Okay, and yeah, those colors cannot make impastos because they crack and they don't hold. Okay. So few more. Okay. So this is it for today. So next week I'll do the copy from a Fayum portrait. Okay. So you can see how I'm gonna use the medium, how I'm gonna paint with the palette knife to reproduce those portraits. And if you send me questions, I'll be answering them here in the webinar. Okay. And also, I'll do specific examples to answer your questions. Okay, so have a great week. And oh, no, sorry, I have to say something. Next week we are not having webinar because I'm gonna be away from New York. I'm working in a movie, and the shooting is upstate New York, and I have to be there for 2 days. So I'm gonna be there for Monday and Tuesday. So no webinar for next week, but I'll keep you posted for the next one. Okay. Okay. So everybody have a great week. It was very nice to be with all of you, and see you very soon. Bye bye.